What's going on YouTube? This is Destiny Heroic, and I'm here today with the profile of my Legion Revenger deck. Based on my observations on YouTube and around the internet, my build is actually kind of unique, so I figured I'd better do a profile of it before I get rid of it or sell it or whatever. So anyway, the difference between my deck and popular decks will be apparent in the grade 3 lineup. I am not using any break ride units or old stuff. I'm using all new cards. So I'm using the 4 Phantom Blaster Abyss. During the turn you Legion, Counterblast 2, eat 3 rearguards, and stand. And then 4 copies of Cormac, which is constantly when he attacks, eat a rearguard and gain a crit. So there's a lot of pressure that this guy can put on. There's a lot of pressure that both of these guys can put on throughout the game. However, I found that with Phantom Blaster Abyss, you run out of Counterblast very quickly. If you do it twice, it's 4 Counterblast. And if you're using Counterblast for other things in the deck, then you can run out fairly quickly. And this guy's effect doesn't use Counterblast, so this is nice to have towards the end of the game if you want to apply some pressure to an opponent who doesn't have a lot of hand presence. As the starter, I'm using the Dark Goat. I did not opt to use Judge Bow because there's only half of my grade 3s have Phantom in their name, so this is the optimal choice. In terms of grade 2s, I'm using 4 copies of Makart, who is the Legion mate for Cormac. When he's on the field as a rearguard and you perform Legion, then you can go and get a grade 1 Revenger and call it resting to the rearguard circle. So that's pretty good to fill up your field for a Phantom Blaster play or a Cormac play. Obviously, I'm using 4 copies of Phantom Blaster's Legion mate, Blaster Dark Abyss. Counterblast 1, retire a grade 1 or less rearguard, which is pretty good. And for damage management control, I'm using 4 copies of the original Blaster Dark Revenger in conjunction with Dorant, which you'll see in a minute. For grade 1s, I got 3 copies of a Perfect Guard and a single Quintet Wall. This is a pure Legion deck, so the Quintet Wall comes in handy a lot. Masquerade, obviously a 10k grade 1, something you can call out with Makart and then push to the front row if you need it. 4 copies of Dorant, which I already talked about. Dorant and Blaster Dark, I've opted to put in this deck to try to unflip as much damage as I can so that I can use Phantom Blaster over and over again. And this guy, Life Share, he's like a weenier version of Masquerade. He's basically in there as a spot filler, but you could easily put in, I forget what it's called, the Trumpeter for Revengers, call out a grade 0 resting. You could really do anything with that slot. And for trigger lineup, the standard Revenger setup, really the only Revenger setup, unless you want to run stand triggers. 8 criticals, 4 draws, 4 heals. So the reason this deck is built the way it is because I'm a fairly progressive person. I never look back to old cards when new stuff comes out. Well, rarely. So when the Requiem of Dusk set came out, I basically built the deck only from that set and from the Revenger cards that I already had. I don't like to sit on a break ride and then break ride my Legion card over it, because you get a giant Legion attack, but it really takes away from the point of Legion, which is to get good effects while staying below 4 damage. It may be a game ender, but in the long run, if that fails, then you're stuck at high damage, and it's just a bad place to be. I don't like playing this game stuck or focused around 4 and 5 damage, so that's why I went pure Legion with this deck. The big problem is that as you ride more and more cards and Legion with them, they get stuck in the soul. You'll notice there's no way to soul blast anything in this deck. Shadow Paladin really needs some better cards to soul blast cards out of the soul. They have sword breakers, obviously, but the only way to really use them is to use the break ride deck and to use what's it called? It's to use Judge Bow. I could use Judge Bow in this deck, but then if Cormac is my Vanguard, Judge Bow doesn't do anything. So there's a couple games on my channel that you can watch where I play this deck. It's not a big deal that your soul gets bigger and bigger. It's just a lament that I have that I would like to have more soul blasting cards for Shadow Paladin. So yeah, that's the deck. Let me know what you think, all that good stuff. Watch my other videos. There's a couple good games where me and a couple of my friends have used this deck. Yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.